Hello and welcome to Enterprise Television, and this is Enterprise Friday. I'm Chinyere Igwe Odo, and of course, I am not alone. I have my most, Henry.
Henry Igwe. Good morning.
Good morning, Henry.
Chinyere, how are you today?
So there's something about you on Fridays.
Okay.
There's just something about how you look on Fridays.
Really?
Yes, and I'm beginning to think that there's something about Fridays for you.
Well, to be honest, that is on the opposite actually, because I still ask myself where and who invented that catchphrase, "Thank God it's Friday." Mm-hmm. Like, thank God it's Friday. So we shouldn't say thank God it's Monday or Tuesday. Why should it be particularly thank God it's Friday?
Okay, so Henry, I think you're speaking in this manner because you are a journalist, right? And then we don't go on breaks. But some people who do 9 to 5 who are not journalists like you, Fridays come with a lot of letting down the hair and then, easing off and easing out. Get to unwind, so to speak.
So it's more like a transition between a very busy weekday to the weekend, which of course isn't busy that much.
Absolutely.
Okay, so thank God it's Friday.
All right, thank God it's Friday, and we hope that your week was fantastic, and we hope that you're doing well. Thank you so much for always staying tuned with us here on Enterprise Television. Let's get right into the newspaper this morning, and I'm starting off with The Guardian, Henry. So this story caught my attention on The Guardian, and I'm beginning with land grabbers, speculators wreak havoc on citizens' investment. Land grabbers, speculators wreak havoc on citizens' investment. All right, so you can get that story on The Guardian newspaper this morning. Let's look at this one. 2 students nabbed for faking own kidnap in Lagos. 2 students nabbed for faking own kidnap in Lagos. Population of displaced children hits 1.8 million. Population of displaced children hit 1.8 million. That you can also find on The Guardian newspaper this morning. And below the mast, we have how Nigerian Army will fish out killers of 17 soldiers by GOC 6th Division. How Nigerian Army will fish out killers of 17 soldiers by GOC 6th Division. We just hope that that happens real quick. And by that story, we have terrorists kill 6, injure many in Katsina. Terrorists kill 6, injure many in Katsina. CBN Agric Fund, Nexim pushes recovery as FG moves to weed out fake farmers. CBN Agric Fund, Nexim pushes recovery as FG moves to weed out fake farmers. And then we have from Delta State, this is coming. Delta Assembly orders the governor to investigate Okwama killings. Delta Assembly orders the governor to investigate Okwama killings. And then I'll take this one last story. Stop interfering. NLC doesn't own LP, Abure tells Ajero. Stop interfering. NLC doesn't own LP, Abure tells Ajero. So,
so those were very interesting stories. And of course, in the studios to do justice to our newspaper reviews today is Emeka Maduna. He is a journalist and also a public affairs commentator. Good morning to you, Emeka.
Yeah, good morning. Thank God it's Friday.
Thank God it's Friday.
Good morning, Emeka. Glad to have you.
Yeah, then you see Fridays you wind down.
You wind down.
Even the journalists don't go on breaks.
Right.
But, they go to the pool to get some water.
Right.
If you understand what I mean.
Exactly.
All right, thank you so much for coming on the show, Emeka. I'd love for you to look at the story of The Guardian. Terrorists kill 6, injure many in Katsina. So I was talking off camera this morning with Cyril, and I told him how I feel about some of these stories. Looking at the dailies every morning, and it's like a recycled, conversation. We talked about insecurity yesterday, and we are here again talking about insecurity. In some quarters, Mr. Emeka, there's been speculations that the federal government led by Tinubu has given a rather prosaic approach to the issue of security, even though I think the security should be a strategic imperative. What do you think the silver bullet would be at this point to nip this whole insecurity thing in the bud?
The issue is that the security system needs to be decentralized. You see, the people you're dealing with are ragtag criminals. who position themselves in different places. Yes, the military has been trying, you know. Just yesterday, it was reported that the most wanted bandit in Zamfara, forget that's his name, was among some terrorists, you know, killed in an airstrike, which is very commendable. But you see, the ground firepower is still needs to increase and needs to be spread, because right now the military are basically in charge of internal security, and it's not supposed to be like that. The military has become fatigued, overstretched, and basically abused, if you permit me to use that word, in the sense that the military is dragged into everything. Everything. And it's not supposed to be like that. They have their core constitutional mandate. The police ought to lead the war, you know, against threats, the war on threats to internal security. But the sad thing is that, you see, the police are still basically, you know, ensconced in their colonial mentality, you know. So instead of actually looking for ways to improve on intelligence, on policing, on, you know, taking the war to the enemy, the police are still largely lagging behind the military. And there must be a rethink. There must be a paradigm shift. That's one. Secondly, intelligence is very important. Remember, the criminals you're talking about also have intelligence. They also have informants. And since the Nigerian system has unfortunately basically weaponized poverty, so there are people readily available to give them information about any and everything. So the government that says it won't pay ransom should actually increase, you know, it should actually broaden its whistleblower policy. The other time the whistleblower policy was really effective, but they used it only in looking for government officials who are hiding government money. But there should be a whistleblower incentive broadcast across that. If you see anything, say something, and you'll be rewarded. And let me tell you, useful information should come. But you know what? It should not be in a case whereby people pass useful information to security agencies and rogue officers, rogue security agents will pass the same information to criminals in whose payroll they are. That is one major discouraging factor. The fact that terrorists can move around, it just basically tells you that a lot of these places are not well policed. Look at what's happening in the southeast, Anambra, for instance, at the time. You saw insurgents going from burning one police station after the other. Why? Because these police stations are set up in isolated places. So there isn't that fallback. And the way they are built is such that, you know, they cannot offer any serious buffer. There's no buffer, there's no resistance. You know, they are not built in such a way that they can also give it back to the enemy. Because you find out a lot of these boys, those insurgents, they were using a kind of improvised device, which from some meters away from a police station, they could fire rockets. Improvised explosive devices. They could fire them and then get away. But you see, the security agencies should keep up the war. They should keep up the fight. But the police, the civil defense, the DSS must make it harder for terrorists. Build more police stations, build more military barracks, super camps like you had under former Chief of Officer Burata. You have super camps equipped with weapons, with tanks and all. And if possible, in some of those remote areas, if there's possibility of, like Tucano jets, those small Tucano jets landing, if you could have some small airstrips here and there, it will help. Right. Now look at it, we're going into the rainy season. When you have foliage, you have thick bush everywhere. What are we going to do?
Yes. So while we talk about the surge of insecurity in our country, I would love us to look at another very interesting story here, and that's the fracas between Albure and Ajero, and all borders on the Labour Party control. And my question to you, Emeka, is where is Peter Obi in this mix? Where is Peter? He seems to be the flagship brand, for Labour Party. And with all of this issue happening between these two giants, where is Peter Obi in this mix? And why is it difficult for him to come in and find a lasting solution if really there is the intention of him still running with the Labour Party in the future?
You see, in Nigeria, we have a very interesting scenario. The party is supreme. The Supreme Court has said so many times, But you know what? You have certain cabals in the parties who determine what goes on. If you call Peter Obi, who doesn't even have executive power, what will you talk about President Bola Tinubu? How many meetings has he held with feuding APC factions? How many of the resolutions did they respect? Look at Ondo. They are getting ready for another fight. After the president had met with them twice and even walked some of them out of the meeting, they are getting ready for another fight again. Look at Benue. The president has stopped. Are they listening to the president? Look at PDP. Do they respect Atiku? Even in NNPP, they drove Kwankwaso out. They are flag bearer. They expelled him from the party. So Peter is being careful so that nobody will accuse him of being on one side or the other. But I think, you see, NLC needs to outgrow certain tendencies, abrasive tendencies. You see, we're in the 21st century of engagement, dialogue. It's not everything you roll out tax, you block the road, you declare a strike, you shut down the economy. There are ways in which you handle crisis with minimum disruption to the daily routines of people. Now, when you say that, okay, that NLC owns the Labour Party, in what way? Then let the president of NLC run for president. Let him automatically be the presidential candidate. They are actually falling into the hands of APC. Because that's what APC likes to talk about. Yes, that anytime NLC calls a strike, it is the Labour Party. There was a time they were saying it was Peter Obi going through the back door. But they have forgot that line has become one and it's no longer useful. Now, you find out it's shocking. For the first time in the history of the Labour Party, since it was formed, I think 2003, that the leadership of the NLC will be fighting for control of Labour Party with the leadership of the Labour Party. It is wrong. Joe Ajay, the president of NLC, should backtrack.
Very true.
What he's doing is wrong. It's unlawful.
Very true. All right, so while we, of course, digested that particular story, let's move on to the Punch newspaper for today. And the banner headline here says 16 governors about state police submit reports to the federal government. And also the writer there says the federal government awaits 20 states report, says NEC. President source insists on governors want state police. Okay, the presidency source insists that all governors want a state police rather. And on the top strip of the same newspaper, we have Naira appreciates to 1,382 to the dollar. Presidency cautions speculators. On the bottom strip of the same newspaper, we have foreign trips. Federal government may save over 5 billion naira quarterly. Emeka, there are some very interesting story here. But let's start with the Naira appreciation. Do you think this is a smoke screen?
I was hoping you were going to ask me that question. Yes.
You think it's a smoke screen?
There is this mistaken impression that the economy is some kind of faith-based organization where you tell people, thou shalt not steal. And everybody falls into line. Thou shalt not look at another man's wife. Everybody looks away. Business is an entirely different, it's an emotive place where everybody is out for profit. The Yorubas have a proverb that there is no matter the price that a thief sells things he got through stealing, that he will say he declared a loss. So the presidency is telling speculators, dump your dollars, you will cry. Who? People stole government money. They didn't work for it. So even if the dollar drops to 900 naira or even 500 naira, they are not losing anything. What we are talking about is deal with the source of the problem,
And
whereby governors use security votes. They take a monthly allocation from FAC, convert them to dollars, and keep them in a safe in government house. You have to deal with that. The president must talk to the governors that they have to stop this. Outlaw security votes. Outlaw constituency projects, because lawmakers, that's their own version of security votes.
So what you're saying is it's equally hypocritical, okay?
No,
with regards to what you said.
That is one side of it. So in the presidency, Mr. Banunga, President Tinubu's aide, who is saying that doesn't really understand how business operates. I can consider to him having been more of a journalist and maybe very less of a businessman. Now, to the other side, the Naira appreciating is good. Even though the CBN governor said all debts have been cleared, but representatives of foreign airlines yesterday said the federal government had not cleared that debt, that they should bring the figures. The point is this: yes, the federal government has made certain moves, to cool the situation and to reduce speculation, but we need inflows, not inflows to the stock market alone. We need foreign direct investment.
To the real market.
Yes, coming into the real sector. That is what we need to say, okay, when we have that, we can now say, yes, we are safe. You say, okay, that the CBN governor said the foreign reserves are risen to $34 billion. But we are still largely import dependent. We still import a lot of things. Every day, importation, and you are the one funding these things. Because you have to provide forex one way or the other. Go to the street. Yesterday, I moved around some parts of Lagos. I still saw these black market currency dealers doing their business with ease, as if nothing had happened. So when you still have these distortions in the economy, you can only just postpone the evil day. Okay, the dollar has fallen to 1,380. Let's see what happens in the next few weeks. Because for now, school fees have been taken care of. We are entering March is an admission period. School fees, is gradually being pushed aside. Maybe you may have some pressure around Easter. After Easter, everybody, will go on recess, just be doing the normal things. Don't worry, by the time we start getting to August and we start entering the Christmas season, come and tell me again that Naira is at 1,380.
All right, so thank you so much, Mr. Emeka, for that submission. But again, I'm very practical. And then you talk about the streets. Let's now move to the streets. The common man, the hoi polloi, as I like to call them, want to understand how this relates to their everyday business. Yeah. For instance, rice is selling for, say,
1,300. From 82 to 7.
Right. But one cup of Derica still sells for 1,200 naira. And then let's be chiefly concerned about the common man. Tell us how this translates. Naira has appreciated. Good news. Tell us how this translates to the common man buying staples for a more reduced rate.
You see, yes, it will still be a bit difficult for prices to come down significantly, even though some propagandists have been going about. It will be difficult because, you see, the price at which people bought these things wholesale is different from point to point. You buy a bag of rice today, it's some 5,000, tomorrow some 7,000, the next day 82,000. So that's why these things have been going up. But you see, if there are inflows that can buoy the economy, and then we have more local production, we're going into the rainy season.
Right.
So we just hope that government can do something about these herdsmen causing problems, and that government can get more people into the farms. Then there has been this stuff that government should open the borders so that you can bring in so much food, flood the market with food, and force down the prices. But right now, the economy is contracted. Things can come down marginally, but the common man wants the price to come down significantly.
Absolutely.
So the only difference, what can happen is if government can launch a stimulus package, but you trust Nigerian politicians, they will steal everything.
Right.
Otherwise, if you launch a stimulus package, for instance, like I suggest, many people suggest President Tinubu, bring in food massively, or else open the Benin Republic border. Let food come in. People are interested in food right now.
Yes.
But the problem is this. We eat a lot of what we generate, and demand is high. Look at cassava, for instance. Off-takers who they go to farms and buy the whole harvest because they want to export it to China. That's what they said they will slow down. But for how long? They have a business to run. They have staff to pay. So you have to look at grains as well, maize and all these things. You know, foreign countries need these things. So what you need to do is this: government has to find a way to pump money into the agricultural sector, so that you have more people getting into farming. I heard one headline about fake farmers. There are no fake farmers. It's just politicians who just put one hose somewhere connected to government and supply pipe to siphon money.
All right. So let's move on to lastly to our next Delhi.
So I think you should take that story.
Okay, all right. So this is from the Daily Trust newspaper, and the banner headline here says thousands may miss Ramadan Umrah as Saudi Arabia fails to issue visas, and writer there says agents to incur losses after booking hotels. And also we have pilgrims lament, and we will still have the same story. And Naira appreciates to 1,382 to the dollar. And on the top strip of the same newspaper, we have a very interesting issue here. El-Rufai's meeting with Ribadu, SDP Secretariat visits elicits reactions. Emeka, isn't it quite funny that at a time like this in our country, we will still have time to discuss about Ramadan and its effect and all of that? I understand, of course, the importance of religion, you know, in our makeup as a people. But do you think this should be a center stage at this point in time?
You see, every nation has its unique characteristics, which you can't take away from the people. These things are steeped in our culture. So you cannot say, oh, stop discussing Ramadan. It's part of our culture. That's part of the way we are. Somebody was arguing with me yesterday that the reason why the marriage is why just traditionally he didn't do a wedding is because the Oyibos, they don't know tradition. I said, listen, my friend, go and register that wedding you did. Go and register it in local government. Because as far as concerned, you just went and kidnapped somebody's daughter and put in your house. There's no record of it. So what are we saying? It doesn't matter the way we want to pattern with the West. You get, we have our culture. And we have to find a way to, work with our culture. If people talk about Ramadan, we have millions of Muslims in Nigeria. Are you going to tell them to not talk about their religion? No. Ramadan is very important. Just like Lent, we will end on Sunday. So what we need to do, we end on Easter Sunday. So what we need to know is this. Let us find a way to use religion to promote peaceful coexistence, to promote love, mutual understanding, so that once we remove the bigotry from it. Honestly, do you know there are many Muslims who attend Christian schools? Christians, many years attended Muslim schools, and they didn't even know the difference. But
do you think there's still need for us to keep subsidizing it from?
No. In terms of that, I'll say no. All right. Pilgrimage is a private affair. Yeah. It should be if somebody can cough up millions of naira to go on pilgrimage, the person should not be subsidized in any way by the government. For that, I say no. The state and religion should be separated.
Very true. Very true. So apt. Of course, this is just about the time we have for news paper review. We'd love to say thank you to Emeka Madunago for being part of our show.
Thank you so much.
Oblige you, if you may, stay around with us for our main conversation if you have the time. All right, so when we return, hope arising for the adoption of a state police as 16 governors endorse proposal. That in a bit when we return. Please don't go anywhere.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.